Welcome to the Drayway. I am so glad you are here. We have a lot to talk about. I got a great show ready for you today. Please hit the subscribe button. There's a Drayway every day, and you can check it out every day by just subscribing. Hit the bells and whistles, all that stuff. But don't forget, the Drayway's every day, and today's the day I have a special show for you. So let's go! Welcome to the Drayway. Guys, I got to talk about this because I saw Peter Hegseth yesterday, and Peter Hegseth is the most average, or probably I should say the most below average person I have ever seen put up for such a critical role in our government. Since when have we decided that putting really average people in really important positions is a good idea? Can somebody tell me when we decided that was a thing? Can somebody tell me when we decided that was a good idea to put somebody so average? I mean, we had to listen to them. Well, do you remember this time when you got trashed and drunk? Do you remember that time when you got trashed and drunk? Do you remember when you sexually assaulted, allegedly, this woman that you had to pay off? And he had to sit there and take it because some of the stuff he said himself. And normally, I mean, officers are officer 1, 2, 3, all the way from officer 0 to officer 10, a 10 being a general or an admiral. He's a 04. I don't even know if he made major. Someone said he just made platoon leader, but someone else said, yeah, I think he made major. Major, a junior officer, and now you're going to run the Pentagon. Have we completely lost our minds? How does this make sense to anyone? And the thing that I'm getting real sick and tired of, and I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, why is it that all you have to do is say, I'm a Republican? And if you say that, you're qualified for anything and everything. Does it work like that everywhere else in the world? Let me ask, I'm talking directly to you Republicans right now. If any of you are out there, you're a Republican, you voted for Trump, I'm talking to you right now. Would you do the same thing with a doctor that was going to operate on you? Would you go, hey, doc, are you any good? Well, I'm not really a doctor, but I'm a Republican, so I'm good. I can operate on you. You'd be like, no. But just because you call yourself a Republican, you can suddenly run the Senate? You can suddenly be in the House? You can suddenly be, I don't know, now you be the Secretary of Defense. But all you have to do is say, I'm Republican, and people want to put these average people in the Senate, in the House, in important positions like Secretary of Defense and other positions. Matt Gaetz, we wanted to make him the king of law enforcement. Matt Gaetz? Why do we think it's okay to put a bunch of below average white people in? Because every single time, correct me if I'm wrong, but every single time we put a person of color in a position, Republicans are quick to say, well, they're not really qualified, despite the fact that they have qualifications this long. Like Kamala Harris. Whether you like her or not isn't important. She did have qualifications this long. But now you're going to put somebody in a very important position, like Secretary of Defense. And he was in the National Guard, a major in the National Guard, 04 junior officer. Replacing what has historically been generals in that position. Do you know the vast difference between a major and a general? Do you know the knowledge gap between a major and a general? It is miles apart. But that's what we're doing now. And that's what the Republican Party continues to do. You know, we just continue to put really average people into these positions, and they don't belong there. They don't have the qualifications. What's going to happen? It's going to be disastrous. The next 4 years are going to be a disaster because you're putting somebody in. We already saw what Trump did the first 4 years he was in office. Millions of people lost their jobs. Hundreds of thousands of people died, but that wasn't enough. I guess we needed to see it again. It wasn't enough that hundreds of thousands of Americans died under Trump. It wasn't enough that millions of people lost their jobs. You know, like I said, 16.6 million jobs for Biden. Trump lost 3 million. But Peter Hegseth, the guy that had alcohol in his breath at work at Fox News, a guy that would get so drunk that he had to be carried. Let me know what you think in the comments. Welcome to the Dre Way. Look, I'm glad you're here. I didn't mean to start off this way, but is that what we're doing now? Is that what we're doing as a nation? You just, you know, all you got to do is call yourself a Republican and now you're qualified for just about anything? Let me know in the comments. And don't go anywhere. We got more shows. Stay right there. I don't think we realize yet what's happened in LA has been an absolute tragedy. And I don't think we understand yet the true scope. The only thing I can compare it to, and I think I've talked about this before, the only thing I can really compare it to is Hurricane Andrew. Hurricane Andrew in Miami just absolutely wiped out tens of thousands of homes. Probably 10 times what happened in LA, Andrew did to Florida. And part of Florida has never come back from that. I mean, never. I mean, still hasn't. And it's been, 30 years ago. But it took decades for areas to come back. And there, like I said, there's still areas that never came back. And that damage is kind of similar to what's taken place in LA. But if you think LA and all of that's going to come back in the matter of just a few years, it ain't happening. It's not happening. It's going to take a minimum of 10 years to have some semblance of what it used to be. And I'm talking at the bare minimum 10 years. And some people have those years and some people don't. And already there are struggles because now you've got a lot of rich people looking for housing, and there's only so many places for rent. But yet there's tens of thousands of people that are now looking for shelter. So what a mess this all is. And you're talking about 250, $250 billion in damage, $250 billion. That is just absolutely mind-boggling to me. And to think that this is just going to be a 2 or 3 year process, it's going to be at least a 10-year process. And for some people, they'll never see it again. They'll never see, it back to anywhere close to what it was. Some of those older people that lived there, they're going to have to completely change their lives because this isn't something that's going to be fixed over a short period of time. Like I said, this is something that's going to take over a decade to fix. And now you've got, a real estate pinch in an area that isn't all that large. There's only so much real estate available for rich people. So it's going to greatly change everything in that area for a very, very long time. And real estate, I think I've talked about it several times on here. Real estate is going to be a challenge as it is in 2025. And on here, I want you to know in 2025, we're going to be talking about real estate a lot because I think Donald Trump and his administration is going to have a lot to say with real estate because the interest rates, he is not going to have interest rates on his side like he did last time. He's not going to have 0% interest rates. Anyone can look like an expert when they have 0% interest rates. Yeah, because that's not a doable thing anymore. So let's see how Donald Trump governs when 1 or 2% interest rates aren't an option. And cutting interest rates this year isn't really an option. We cut interest rates just a few weeks ago, and it didn't do us any good. So cutting rates at this point is only going to increase more inflation. And so are the plans, whether you guys agree with me or not. You know, his policies, you got to admit, are inflationary. I mean, if you want to start rounding up cheap labor and ship them somewhere, that's inflationary. If you want to, like I've said before, if you're going to start placing tariffs, and he says, man, tariffs are the way, tariffs are the thing to do, you and I are going to be paying more money for goods. We already pay a lot of money, don't we? But we're going to be paying even more because of tariffs. So I don't know how excited anyone is about the tariffs. But yeah, life's about to change. And the fires aren't even over yet. The fires aren't even done. So let me know what you think in the comments. We have a lot more to talk about. Welcome to the Dre Way. I got a final thought. Stay right there. There are two things I don't really want any part of anymore. There are two things in particular that now just, when I just hear the name, it's just kind of distasteful. It just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Let me know what you think. The two things are Meta and Starbucks. Yeah, I mean, Starbucks came out with the whole thing yesterday of, hey, we really don't want you to hang around here. We want you to come get coffee and get out. Yeah, we don't want that whole community hanging out, and yeah, we don't want that anymore. We just want you to come in, buy our $8 coffee, and move it on, get going. And that to me is just, you know, hey, Starbucks, F you. You know, just from me to you, Starbucks, F you. You know, I mean, really? You don't want us hanging out at the shop anymore. You don't want us meeting friends or having a meeting there and just hanging out and using the computer. And no, you don't want that anymore. You want people to come in and get out. Yeah. And same thing with Meta. And the thing that I find interesting is Meta isn't changing fact checking for other countries, just the United States. Donald Trump is coming into office, and now Meta goes, telling the truth isn't that important anymore. Not in the United States, but in countries like, I don't know, Brazil. Oh, don't worry, Brazil. We're still going to have fact checking, but just not in the United States because, you know, facts aren't really that important. Well, one thing I can tell you right now is on my show, on this show right here, I'm going to give you the facts. You may not always like what I have to say, but I can promise you, I'm going to give you the facts. And if I'm ever wrong on something, I will make a correction and I'll come back and say, hey, I got this wrong. But I don't expect that to happen very often because I usually have the facts pretty much down. And in this day and age, don't you want to be able to go somewhere, whether you're Republican or Democrat, doesn't matter. Don't you want to be able to go somewhere and just get the fact, just know what the truth is? Because, I mean, don't you get tired of just being told what you want to be told? Yes, no? I mean, do you always just want to hear what you want to hear, or do you ever just want to know what is real? What is the truth? What are the facts? Because that's why, that's the whole reason why I decided to do this show. Because anymore, it is really, really hard to get just the straight facts. And, you know, when I talk about certain numbers and stuff like that, those are the facts. Like when I say, you know, Biden, 16.6 million jobs in 4 years with President Biden. 4 years of Trump, we lost 3 million jobs. That's a fact. You can be upset by it, but you have to understand that's a fact. You can't change that, you know? And that, you know, in 5 days, I just want you to know on this show, I'm going to be giving you the facts on what Donald Trump is doing in office. You know, you don't like hearing the facts of Biden, so maybe you'll like hearing the facts of Trump, because Biden, whether you like it or not, his GDP numbers have been really, really good. His job numbers, really, really good. Unemployment numbers, really, really good. So the economy numbers have just been really good. You can't deny them. They are what they are. Now, just so you know, when Trump comes into office, I'm going to be comparing his numbers to Biden's numbers. And I'm telling you now, what is my gut feeling? Trump is going to do poorly, just like he did last time. But this time, he had an 8-year Obama run to walk into. This time, he's only got a 4-year Biden run to walk into. So that means the economy isn't as set in its ways as it was under Obama. So things could fluctuate greatly. And that's why I think by the end of this year, we are going to have a huge recession, because Donald Trump and his policies are extremely inflationary. But we'll see soon enough, won't we? We just have 5 days left. Join me right here on the Dre Way. We'll be counting it down. This is 5 days away until a new president. Tomorrow will be just 4 days away. And check it out right here on the Dre Way. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you tomorrow on the Dre Way. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you later.